Hello guys, welcome back to Vegan Voices. Today I'll be doing a review on the mockumentary Carnage that just came out on BBC iPlayer. Okay, so this is a film set in 2067 that it's basically like a reality TV show of a group of young people of that year looking back on the world's meat-eating past and animal product eating past. It's like a documentary, but people are calling it a mockumentary because it's also been called a sci-fi vegan comedy, which is definitely the first of its kind, but I think it's quite good. It's got a very weird air to it, but it pulls your curiosity in and it kind of grabs your attention from the get-go because it's so strange you want to know what it's gonna do next. And it does make some really good points whilst not being preachy. It has a very subtle way of bringing vegan reasoning to people's minds, but whilst it does bring this across, it doesn't come across as preachy or argumentative because of the way they've mixed in comedy. They've even gone to a point that, in a way, they're also mocking vegans a little bit, but if you've got a good sense of humour, then it's not insulting, it's just very weird. That is the easiest way to describe it. The film isn't particularly serious, except for its message, but it plants ideas in your mind without you fully realising that it's doing so. There'll be a couple things it says and it will make you think for a minute on what you're doing. I mean, I watched it as a vegan. I didn't get carried away with it, I still stopped to think what they were saying, but at the same time I enjoyed it as well. I found it quite funny. A little bit upsetting that we're not there yet, but I mean, it's a very sci-fi thing. The way it's portrayed is probably not quite what the future's gonna look like, but it's certainly one take on it. It has a way of making you think back on how things in the past have been accepted for so long, and when we look back at things in the past that the human race has done, quite a few things we will look back in disgust and we'll think, why was that ever acceptable? Why were so many people okay with it? And this documentary aims to look at things 50 years from now as if the whole world's gone vegan due to pressures from the environment and animal welfare and health. It makes you try to see the point of view of that in a few hundred years' time. It makes you think what the future of the human race will look back on in the way we treated animals and whether it's okay or not and how ashamed they might be. The documentary, like I said earlier, is kind of like a reality TV show in that it's based on people in the year 2067 with all this kind of like VR headset kind of things, and they're looking back at people eating meat as if it were them eating meat and looking at how animals were farmed and TV shows about cooking and the things people would say about animals, what words they'd use to refer to them, like pork, or if they'd actually call them what they are, pigs. And it basically shows their shock and things like that, and there's one clip in it where it's set back in time from then with Martin Freeman in. It's based on Martin Freeman being like a relative to this old lady who's sat about to eat her dinner when she notices that there's, I think it was chicken, that there was meat on her plate, and this lady had Alzheimer's, so in the clip we can see her freaking out a little bit because she couldn't remember that meat was normal at that time.
What's that? What did you do?
Mum, please.
Where's the rest of her? Who did this?
Nobody did anything.
Did you kill her?
Mum, I didn't kill it.
It! She had a mother and a father, Jeff.
It's free range.
What does that mean?
It means it's free range. It was a happy chicken running around a massive field with all the other happy chickens. It had a good life.
Why do you keep saying it? I haven't seen any fields with birds wandering around. Where are they, Jeff? Where?
Mum, I'm really hungry.
This film is set in such a way that, whilst it's being comedic, it still draws back to the important issues like global warming and health, animal welfare and rights. And it shows us how gradually in this sci-fi world of the future, how in their past they were gradually pushed towards veganism, whether they wanted to or not, because of the effects it was having on global warming and the environment and public health, with the NHS and everything struggling. All the statistics in this documentary, or mockumentary, are all true, but the clips are a mix of made up, for the made up past of this made up world, but also some real cooking shows and some real farming footage. And the characters, they're very comedically made, so they're a little bit strange, but...
Fashion designer took the bold step of putting a cow on the catwalk.
Four-legged models, fashion.
It's the way of drawing people in, and I think it's good because it's getting meat eaters and vegetarians to watch it, and once they start watching it, they don't necessarily think it's as preachy as a lot of documentaries might come across, so they're more inclined to sit around, which is good because it gets them to think a bit more without necessarily realising as such. I think unfortunately there's a possibility that a few people who watch this film who do eat meat and dairy products and eggs and cheese, I think there's a possibility that they might just laugh at it and brush it off and think it's just some sort of vegan extremism. It draws in people who are interested in the movement but are too afraid to watch documentaries like Earthlings or Cowspiracy because they're so graphic. This one had a few clips that were a little bit borderline graphic, but there wasn't lots of blood. Though I don't remember seeing any blood. I'm sorry if I've forgotten any of it, but I don't remember seeing any blood. For example, there was a scene with a cow having a bolt shot through its head to stun it. But I think that was the worst clip I saw that I can remember. I think, again, like I said before, I think this documentary is very good because it's drawn people in that a little bit afraid of more graphic content. It makes people think for a moment, taking veganism more seriously, even whilst watching something that's very comedic. I mean, look at this.
Where have you taken my baby? Moo, he needs his mother too.
It's very good at coming across more easygoing in a way. It's very packed, so it's not really any boring bits. I honestly didn't feel like it was an hour long. I felt like it was maybe half an hour, maybe a bit less. But yeah, it got me drawn in. Yeah. So the main message of the documentary seems to be how will people in the future look back on our treatment of animals? Is it something that they will be proud of, or is it something they will absolutely hate? In the same way that we look back on things that have happened in our past that we're not happy with. It's the way views change. It tries to get people to realise that in the world we've been brought up in, it's a social norm and we think it's okay, but we need to question if in future generations, will they think it's okay? Because ethics do change in a way. I suppose ethics themselves, in technicality, are minimising violence, minimising pain, and trying to help the climate and everything like that. That's ethics in general, but moral structure within society changes over time, and we shouldn't be afraid of that change. And the more people who back that kind of change, the quicker things will get easier to follow. Like, the more people who go into veganism, the quicker new cheeses and things will be developed and the nicer things will be made because there'll be demand for it. I have to say though, the film does at times critique the vegan movement. It has one bit where it jabs at pizza. In this film, Paul McCartney does briefly get critiqued for his invention of Meatless Monday, and here's what it says about that.
Well, meat-free Monday, it's a fun day.
Which of course to us now sounds almost as offensive as ethnic cleansing free Tuesday.
If you're up for a documentary that may subtly change your views without you fully realising until afterwards, I would definitely recommend this documentary because it's more easygoing to watch, especially if you're not so keen on graphic content. All I can say is try to watch it with an open mind. Enjoy the comedy, of course, but do try to reflect on the message. Don't Don't spend the whole time trying to ignore the messages, think on them. All of the statistics in this documentary are true. Some of the clips may be intermixed with real and false, like the cow one I showed you earlier was definitely not a real musical.
Is it a castle? Yes. Okay then. Bye, Daddy. Bye, little chickies. Love you. Bye. Oh, Daddy, I forgot.
Jeremy! Oh God! Oh God!
I'm hoping in future to do some reviews on Earthlings and Cowspiracy and Forks Over Knives in the future. Please check out some of my other videos such as this one over here. Just do a little dance for you there. And this week, the vegan food I'm going to show you is these bourbon biscuits. So, there you go. Thank you for watching and I'll see you all soon.